everyone, and welcome to the Higher Learning Network. I am your host for today, Brittany Burt, and today our show is sponsored by Brittany Baker and the Stream of Life Wellness Center. We're streaming live today from Ustream.com and from intellectualradio.com. You can tweet us at the Higher Learning Network TV show, and you can also join us on Facebook at Higher Learning TV show. So today our guest is Dr. Momma Hawk. And Dr. Hawk, why don't you tell us how you became affiliated with the Stream of Life Wellness Center?
Well, I met Brittany Baker at the Neighborhood Y doing an exercise class in the late 60s, and we were raising our children together, and she was very concerned about my health. I was very obese and had no interest in doing anything about my weight. Later on in life, she decided to open up a wellness center, and she needed investors. I believed in her because of all the attention and support that she had been giving me in my life. And I was one of her original investors in the beginning of the Stream of Life Wellness Center over on 82nd Street.
Oh, great, great. And what was your experience like there?
Well, the experience for me was very dynamic. I didn't know a lot about colonics, although Berlina had taught me a lot about the colonics, but I was one of those people that wanted to continue to eat my pork chop and my potato chips and my polo sausages, and I couldn't understand why you want to wash all that good stuff out of me. And but the investment was that we prepaid for a series of colonics in order for her to start to shop. So since I paid for them, I went on and tried them, and they were very helpful in beginning to help me realize that I needed to take charge of my life.
Wow, that's excellent. So what kind of things did she teach you there being in the Wellness Center?
Well, the first thing Berlina teaches all of us is that sugar is poison. And sugar at that time was my best friend. So we had a conflict of interest because I really, really liked the way the colonic made me feel and the weight loss and the beginning of the clearing of my skin, but I wasn't sure I was ready to give up that sugar yet.
I understand.
And the diet pop syndrome did not interest me, and drinking all that water with the green chlorophyll quite didn't get my attention. But in 2001, I had a massive heart attack, and everything that Berlina said to me when I was laying in intensive care came back to my mind, and everything got my attention.
Wow. And so after that, after you went through that experience, how did that change what you did?
Well, you know, it's a sad thing that you have to have something medically traumatic to happen to you for you to take charge of becoming well or caring for your body. We look at the wonderful Bible example of all the men of old, and you think about Methuselah being 969 years, and you go, well, why did God allow him to be 969 years? That was because he took care of his temple, and he didn't eat at McDonald's, and he didn't stop by Wendy's, and all these other fast food places that we love to stop by for a quick, deadly meal. And I think about when President Bush was in office, and there was this big conversation that he tricked America because he told us about the weapons of mass destruction, and he said, no, there was no real weapons of mass destruction. What I differ with that, our mouths are the weapons of mass destruction. Because we eat things that destroy our body.
We do.
And there is nothing more deadly than destroying your body through opening your mouth and eating things for, number one, because it's cheap, number two, because you like it, and number three, because you think that it tastes good. Doesn't work.
You know, I can relate with that completely. Someone told me that, you know, and it's true, it is cheaper to eat bad, unfortunately. You know, you can eat bad very inexpensively, but eating well can be quite expensive. So how was your journey trying to afford
Well, first
those
of all,
things?
being an educator, I always do things mathematically. One of the things I learned mathematically is once I stopped by Pepe's and ate my dozen of tacos, that was my snack, on my way to White Castle's to get my sack of cheeseburgers before I got home for dinner, where I ate my salad and drank my Diet Pop.
Wow.
See, I was eating healthy by the time I got home, but I had to eat differently to get home. But when you think about it, the heart attack that I endured was over $750,000 to restore me back to life. So when you think about $5 for a salad or $20 for this or $10 for that, to get into a health where it costs you $750 to be restored back into the position where your body is already at, you decide that, you know, not only am I eating poorly, but I'm hating myself. I'm hating myself. Because it's really cheaper to eat healthier than it is to eat poorly. Because when you eat healthier, you don't have to have a lot of medical expense. Now, after my major heart attack, I decided to eat healthy because I needed to get well. I've lost 293 pounds since 2001.
That's amazing.
Without major surgery.
That is amazing.
And people will say, well, how did you do it? Well, I had to boycott things that I like. I had to drive by McDonald's and say, you know, see you later, buddy. And I had to divorce Popeye and tell him, we can't have no more chicken today.
No more.
You know, Kentucky, let my men go, let the Colonel go, and let Pepe's go. And had to tell my cousin Wendy, you know, can't run by you today. And I had to actually go home and look at the things that grew green from the ground and do like they do on the Food Network, you know, that Chop channel where they give you this food and tell you make something. I would take all these green vegetables and I would look at my clock and I say, you have 30 minutes to make yourself something to eat that is edible, that will make you healthy. And I would just chop this up, and whatever was healthy were the only things I would use as my main ingredients. And I cultivated an appetite for those things.
Wow.
I no longer drink any kind of pop. Water is my main drink of choice. I love putting the chlorophyll in the water because chlorophyll gives my body life. I look for chlorophyll to put in my water. I remember when Brittanys was teaching me about the chlorophyll, I used to tell all the other clients coming in, she's going to give you that nasty green water, you know.
But you have to drink it.
But you love her, but tell her that you'll pass by that. I was really a spoiler in the clinic, but they just loved me because I'm Momma Hawk and I could make people laugh. But the joke was mine when I laid up in that hospital and they told me that the surgery might not be able to save my life.
Oh, wow.
And what was funny was the things that I called myself enjoying took my arteries down to less than 10% of flowing of blood.
Wow.
Now, when you know that your body's supposed to produce 100%, and you've eaten enough greasy food that only 10% of blood is able to get to your heart, you come to realize that those greasy hamburgers are not your friends anymore.
And not worth it.
And especially when you don't know how to eat things in portion. I say to people that say, well, it's hard to give it up, I say, do it in moderation. I started eating 10 and 12 hamburgers at one time. So in order to get to eating green food, I couldn't do a cold turkey.
Right.
So I would go from 10 to 5 to 3 to 2 to then I can't do any. And it worked for me. You know, it's like being a junkie. Some people can do a cold turkey. Most people, when you get as big as I got, you can't do a cold turkey. Your body is craving that. And you're dealing with the stress of the heart attack. You're dealing with the desire for this food. And you're dealing with a body that's saying, if you eat me, I'm going to shut down. And you have to make choices. And when I went back to getting my series of colonics, and they helped me tremendously, I was more than glad to be faithful. See, I used to do the colonics, which was on 82nd Street, and then I would leave there and stop by Leon's, which was on 83rd Street, and get my hot link dinner on the way home and tell Bernina, I got you. Now, I leave the colonic place and I walk home, which is about a mile from my house, and I drink water. And I am excited to do that, and I'm healthier for it.
That's great. And I bet you feel better.
Not only do I feel better, but my entire life has been restored.
Wow. So it sounds like it's all about a mind-changing thing. You have to change the way you think in order to achieve this amazing goal that you did. How did you?
Well, it's all about decision making. You know, we can make a decision to stop by the fast food joints and look at that stuff and say, that smells so good. Or we can make a decision that I don't need something that smells good. I need something that's going to make me feel good. And when you put greens in your body and that chlorophyll generates that life in you, and your body is healing, and you get a cut on your hand, and within hours your body is healing itself, you know you're on the right path.
True.
This past Thursday, December the 15th, I had major surgery because I had terrible inflammation in my left arm, and I couldn't move it, and for 4 months, I was in pain that was unbelievable.
Wow.
So the doctor scheduled me for surgery, and they did it laparoscopically, which is the new way to do it. I'm really glad they just punched some holes instead of cutting it. And they were telling me all the things that were going to happen to me. They said, well, now after surgery, you're going to have to take Oxycontin for 3 or 4 days, which is drugs. I don't put any drugs in my body.
Oh, that's
I do not use chemical drugs in my body at all. If I can't find a herb, I will not do it. Because you're polluting your body,
Yes,
you're
you
causing
are.
your body to become toxic, and you're causing another problem.
The side effects
Right,
are the worst part.
you got another problem,
Yes.
and I can't do these other problems. And I listened to the doctor very faithfully, and he told me, well, you're going to be sleeping for 3 or 4 days, and you're not going to be able to move, and and he just gave me all this drama. And I thanked him so much because I knew me, and I knew how I ate, and I knew how I took care of this body, and I knew how much water I drank, and I knew what I had to do. And when I came home that night from my surgery, I took my probiotics, and I drank me some water, and I took a triple relief herb pill, and I went to sleep, and I woke up the next morning, and I started cooking some greens and fixing my raw foods.
Felt refreshed.
So the doctors called me and they said, well, Dr. Momma Hawk, how you doing? We're calling to check on you, and do we need to send a nurse over? I says, I don't know, because I'm not going to be home. I'm getting ready to go to the Y. I got to do my walk. And they were going like, no, you're up, you're walking. I go, praise the Lord, I am just marvelous.
That's who you have
and
to
they
give it
asked
to.
me to look at my incisions to see if they were swollen and if I were in need to put the ice pack on. And of course, the decisions were not only not swollen, but they'd already begun to heal.
And that's amazing.
I was in the street on Saturday walking my service animal and doing all the things that I normally do, and breathing in fresh air and drinking my water and doing the things that keep me healthy. Once you find a path to being healthy, then you have to make a commitment to do that.
To stick by
You know,
it.
some of us, we learn it and we say, okay, I know I need to drink the water. And then we run by some place and say, after I drink the 7-Up, see, I'm not going to drink
Then
cold.
I'll drink the
I'm
water.
going to drink this clear pump because it looks like water. No. But it's full of sugar and it's full of byproducts, and you don't know what you have.
True.
And one of the things that I've come to appreciate is when anybody's making anything that I don't know where it comes from, I'm not sure that I want to be a partaker of. We're living in a society right now that every one of us are an experiment of somebody else's business plan.
We sure are. We sure
We're
are.
eating food and we're going, what's in it? They go, no, just tell me how it tastes. And then when you get sick, they go, okay, there was something in there you shouldn't have had. I'll change it. But now you're sick.
It's too late.
You're
and
sick.
and
You
for
got
some people,
food poison, your eyes are crossing over the joint, your feet are, you run into the emergency room, and they're not herbalists. So now they're giving you all this toxic medicine, and now you need a colonic.
True. And some people don't make it to sick, unfortunately. Some people
Absolutely.
pass away from mistakes. It's interesting that you mentioned the natural resources that we get from the earth, because the herbs and the things like that we are supposed to be consuming. But for some reason we keep getting the pharmaceuticals, which kill us, which kill hundreds of thousands of us in the USA alone every single year.
And I'm impressed with the fact that the pharmaceutical companies are not tricking us. When you look at the TV and you look at the commercial, they say, if you take this pill, the side effects are you may stop breathing. Number one,
Fatal.
You may stop breathing.
Yes.
Well, I only have a rash. So in order to cure this rash, I'm going to take this pill that the side effect is I could stop breathing. I could become suicidal and get suicidal side effects. I could get serious blood clots. These
It's
are
terrible.
life-changing side effects.
Life-threatening. It's
When
terrible.
all you have to do is drink water, exercise, change your diet, eat healthy things, there are no side effects to water.
Exactly.
Water was cure. I remember when I was growing up, we used to laugh at my mom. Every time we would get hurt, my mother would say, oh, take a bath, get in the water, get the water. Here I am, 63 years later, testifying that my mother knew way, way back when that there is a life in water.
There is, because it's one of our natural resources that God gave us. Everything else can be left without. Like you say, if Methuselah can live to be 969 years, that's from natural resources. But I have a number of family members that unfortunately have been a horrible case, of side effects from pharmaceuticals. And it's unfortunate, because all we really need is what God put on this earth. That's all we really need.
I was diagnosed in my earlier years prior to the heart attack of having diabetes. And quite naturally, that means they want to give you insulin and they want to give you pills and they want to give you all this stuff. Well, it's a good thing to have a friend like Berlina, because I told Berlina everything that they told me, and I showed her the whole program and the whole scope of things. And the only thing that we kept was the glucometer meter.